On December 19th, Mr. Young bought a sleeper ticket for the high-speed train from Shanghai to Beijing. To his surprise, the entire carriage was empty, with only him aboard. His videos documenting the eerily quiet ride quickly went viral, sparking heated discussions online. Many were shocked, given that the Beijing-Shanghai route is one of the busiest in China, historically notorious for its crowded trains, especially during the holiday rush. Some viewers speculated that the calmness might signal a serious economic downturn, while others found it hard to believe it could be so bad. A few joked about the luxury of having an entire carriage to himself. The high-speed train journey, which typically lasts around 4 hours, continued in the same quiet manner. Mr. Young updated his viewers, noting that the entire carriage remained deserted, which made the situation feel creepy. Upon reaching Beijing, he was struck by the lack of life around the city. In the middle of the day, there were no crowds at restaurants or cafes. Even the metro was unusually empty, particularly Line 1, which felt strangely deserted. He ventured to the popular Sanlitun area in the evening, once a hub of bustling activity, and found it similarly quiet, with only a handful of people walking around, and no signs of the festive atmosphere typically seen around New Year's. Nearby, a shopping mall stood largely empty. Despite the flashing LED screens, most of the stores were either closed or had minimal foot traffic. Many restaurants had few or no customers, and even some food outlets were struggling. In a milk tea shop, there wasn't a single customer for over 5 minutes, and a hot pot restaurant had just a single table occupied. Many businesses seemed to be barely holding on, offering steep discounts to attract customers, but even these efforts weren't enough to fill the seats. One mall, known for its kids' playground vibe, was particularly quiet. While its LED signs were still lit up, there were very few shoppers, and several dining areas were closed for renovations or because they couldn't rent out space. Some businesses, like a noodle shop, appeared to be surviving on delivery orders alone. Despite these hardships, one area of business seemed unaffected. Lottery ticket sales were still thriving, a reminder of how people's desires for luck or escape might be enduring even in hard times. Mr. Young's observations extended to some of Beijing's commercial streets, such as World Trade Street, which used to be a vibrant area known for its large LCD screens and events. Now, the area felt desolate, with few people walking around, even though the decorations for the new year remained. This atmosphere was mirrored at Beijing railway station, where the usually packed waiting areas and halls were also nearly empty, making it clear that something in the city had fundamentally changed. The shutdown of iconic stores like the Chidan department store, which had been a part of Beijing's history for nearly a century, reflected deeper issues in the local economy. Faced with growing competition from online shopping and chain stores, Chidan couldn't compete and announced it would close by the end of the year. Many Beijingers, who had nostalgic memories of the store, visited it for a final farewell, but the closure symbolized how even long-standing businesses were struggling. Beyond these visible signs of decline, many young professionals in Beijing were also grappling with a difficult job market. A 2024 graduate shared her experience of moving to Beijing with high hopes, only to face months of unsuccessful job searches, even after traveling over 1,000 kilometers. Her story resonated deeply with others in similar situations, leading to a wave of responses from college graduates struggling to find stable employment. One graduate, with a master's degree in computer science, detailed her experiences with low-paying, short-term jobs in Beijing's competitive labor market. Despite her qualifications and willingness to work long hours, her positions never lasted, with companies either laying off staff or unable to pay wages. The job market in Beijing was increasingly ruthless, with many college graduates accepting jobs that were far beneath their qualifications, simply to make ends meet. One young man from a smaller city, who had studied hard for years, now worked at a burger joint, trading his labor for meals and accommodation. He had been promised a salary of 6,000 yuan a month, but the harsh reality of the job market left him feeling trapped. Another young graduate worked in a factory, doing tough, low-paying work because the alternative, unemployment, felt too risky. Across Beijing, the atmosphere had shifted. Corporate offices, once lit up with activity, were now dimly lit, and many workers were overwhelmed, doing multiple jobs with little hope for advancement. Layoffs were common, and many employees feared being the next to go. The competition for jobs was intense, with companies screening applicants based on personal details that weren't directly related to qualifications, such as marital status or age. In this environment, even getting an interview felt like a rare victory, and many applicants faced rejection with little explanation. As a result, many were leaving Beijing in search of less stressful cities, though for some, personal commitments kept them rooted in the capital. The economic downturn was no longer just a statistic, it was felt on a personal level by workers and business owners alike. The pressure to survive, combined with the soaring cost of living in Beijing, created an unbearable atmosphere for many. The economic slowdown was evident not only in Beijing but also in other major cities like Shanghai. Statistics revealed a significant drop in consumer spending, particularly in high-end goods, retail, and dining. The decline was especially sharp in these gateway cities, which relied heavily on foreign and business visitors, both of which had sharply declined in recent years. Local governments, deeply in debt, also faced difficulties maintaining economic growth. Experts explained that the economic challenges faced by Beijing and Shanghai were emblematic of a larger national issue. Analysts pointed to a shrinking population and reduced business activity as major factors affecting the economies of these cities. Real estate developments, which once buoyed the economy, were slowing and consumers were tightening their belts. Even the luxury market was feeling the squeeze, as the middle and lower classes cut back on spending. In conclusion, China's economic decline over the past few years was becoming more apparent, especially in its largest cities. Although official reports indicated some growth in national GDP, the reality on the ground showed widespread hardship. The job market was particularly tough for young graduates, who, despite their education and efforts, were often left struggling to find work. This economic downturn is not just a temporary issue. Analysts predict it may last for decades, with profound implications for future generations. The slow unraveling of China's economic boom, particularly in cities like Beijing and Shanghai, signals the beginning of a challenging new reality.